Hey guys, Scott Layton here, I'm Expat Life. I am heading over to the ferry port there in front of me. I'm heading to Corfu tomorrow and just wanted to make sure that I got here in enough time. So I wanted to go in time how long it took to actually get here from my Airbnb. I just wanted to give you a quick update. I'm doing much better. I was sick earlier this week for Easter, and then I got a really bad 2-degree sunburn on my feet and the bottom of my legs. And I just got that from creating a video out of my balcony for maybe an hour. So it's been one of those weeks. And speaking of which, yesterday was kind of rough. Watching the news, I think it was almost 250 people killed in Lebanon by Israel. I presume most of those were civilians. Even after the supposed ceasefire. And then I read a really troubling report in the Free Press, and I corroborated it on a couple of different websites and articles, talking about how the Vatican's official to the United States was summoned to the Pentagon in January for a meeting, and it's been corroborated that the meeting took place, but not actually what was said. The gentleman from the Vatican has since retired from that position and isn't speaking to the press, at least at this point. The Vatican also corroborated that the meeting took place. The Pentagon and the White House are both saying that what was said wasn't nearly as inflammatory as what was reported, even though the Free Press is owned by Barry Weiss, the conservative, who also is now in charge of CBS News. And basically they were, if it's to be believed, threatening the Pope, saying that if the Pope doesn't basically side with the United States, they could go and get into an Avignon situation, similar to what happened in the 13th century when the then King of France went and took over the papacy. Again, I don't know if it's true or not, but with all the rhetoric, with all the hyperbole going on at this point, it's hard to know what's true or what isn't. And it's just very concerning. And let's be honest, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it is true. Knowing how Trump speaks, knowing what his administration is doing at this point, you know, basically threatening to destroy the entire Iranian civilization. The man needs to be replaced. They need to go and call for the 25th Amendment. A lot of people, a lot of apologists are just saying that it's just the way he talks. True enough, but the President of the United States doesn't say things like that. Doesn't threaten entire populations, doesn't suggest that he's going to commit genocide, killing conceivably millions of people. I think the population of Iran right now is around 52 million, if memory serves. I could be mistaken. Donald Trump is a threat to all civilization, and not just America. And if it is true what was said about threats to the Pope and to the Vatican, I mean, that's just beyond the pale. we are taught as Christians and as Catholics to pray and to love our enemies. I've certainly prayed for Trump and his administration. Can't say I love them. But maybe that says more about me and my shortcomings. But it's hard not to be despondent and depressed by everything that's happening in the world today. Which is why it's even more important than ever to pray, to seek God's guidance and the Lord's grace. And remember that none of us are alone in this. The whole world is watching and going through this at this point. I hope cooler heads prevail. I seriously hope that Trump gets the help he needs mentally, psychologically. I hope he realizes and his administration realize the error of their ways and try to reach some concordia with Iran. And to talk some sense into Netanyahu, who shouldn't be bombing anyone at this point. The man's been indicted. I mean, he should be in jail in Israel right now. Most of Israel doesn't agree with what he's doing at this point. And the thing is, and I don't think it's said enough, history doesn't repeat, but it does create enemies. I mean, when you're killing family members of people, in countries like Iran, in Lebanon, in Ukraine, Gaza, people remember. They have animosity towards the countries that are seeking violence on them for generations. I mean, we've seen it before in history. It's just, it never ends. There's no such thing as a just preemptive war, because you never know if they're actually going to attack. And by all accounts, Iran was not going to attack either Israel or the United States. This was unprovoked, unplanned. Trump knew what he was getting himself into. He knew the threats, the Strait of Hormuz. He was briefed by the CIA. I mean, all that is public record. Any man who does things like this certainly has some kind of imbalance in issues. And it's incumbent upon all of us as Americans, especially, to speak up, to speak truth to power, as well as pray. Things aren't going to change on their own, folks. I mean, we need to demand the cabinet calls for the 25th Amendment. We need to demand accountability from our politicians. Lest we are just as culpable as they are. I decided definitely that I was leaving the United States when he bombed Iran back in June of last year in 2025. And just think about how many things he's done since. I've done videos on the threats of Trump and his administration. Basically, destruction of the party of Lincoln. I just don't know why more Americans aren't in the streets every day, why there aren't strikes every day, shutting down the economy until he finally learns his lesson or gets kicked out of office. It's only going to get worse if we don't do something. I'm not sure why people don't see that. Well guys, that's me and my soapbox for the day. Today is the 10th of April, 2026, and I'm on the beautiful promenade here in Sarandë, Albania, heading to Corfu tomorrow with one of my Canadian friends. That should be fun. I need that. I need some kind of break from my regular routine. It's just been a lot to process. Just everything happening in the world today. You end up just cycling through, you know. There aren't any easy answers to any of this. And it just gets to a point where nothing computes anymore. Yes, we have to put it all in God's hands and pray and love our enemies. But we also have to, as a democracy, stand up for what's right before something else even worse happens. Take care, guys. Have a blessed day.